Hello everybody. So today I'm going to show you guys what Season 5 Zoo Druid is looking like. This is going to be, really like maximum damage Zoo Druid here. I do think putting points into this might end up being the better option. The main issue here is that we don't know if the whole Storm's Companion debacle, where it really wasn't making our Wolves a Storm skill, they weren't actually benefiting from Thunderstruck, and trying to figure out, what's going to, because if that is the case, then it could make sense to pull the points out to put them into things like Defiance, or to put them into Elemental Exposure, or Bad Omen to get a Lightning Bolt. And the reason for that is because, that's 12% damage. Putting it over here into Bad Omen would give you access to one. It's going to make things vulnerable easier, which is nice. So that's like a 20% damage increase. But then you also would get access in your Paragon to the Electrocute rune, which is another 20% damage increase. So that's like, that's actually a decent amount of damage to be adding on to your wolves over going this. But at the same time, you get a bunch of general damage increases from, Stampede, from Bestial Rampage, from Shepherd's Necklace, right? So your Ravens and your Poison Creeper are still going to do a lot of damage. So there is an argument to be made that just because of the sheer amount of damage these two skills should have next season, that it could make sense to run both of these. That running both of these, it is going to be greater than whatever you get from Defiance and like Electrocute or something like that. So right now this is how I have it set up, but just going over the gear now. So Spirit Bond aspect, this is one of the new ones. Companions can't die. 17.5% of the damage you would take is redirected across your companions. Fantastic new aspect. I actually went into a tier 200 to see if I could live, and I found that defense really was not the issue. The issue was damage. So that's a pretty good sign, I think, currently with this. So that's going to be pretty sweet. So I don't really think Debilitating Roar is going to be super necessary anymore. But yeah, so cooldown reduction, companion skills, armor, Bloodhound cooldown reduction, and then Raven's attack speed. Now, when it comes to the secondaries, you could just go all Wolf attack speed if you wanted to. I am trying to mix it up a little bit to try to reduce the passive cooldown on this, and I'm also not 100% certain, how worth it Raven's active size is. It might still be worth it to just go, Wolf attack speed or Raven's attack speed, because one thing too that I'm curious to see if they end up doing is actually make it to where your attack speed from Bestial Rampage applies to Ravens like it should, because if you look at how it reads, it says your companions gain double the bonus from Bestial Rampage key passive, and the damage portion goes to it, but the attack speed portion is not currently working right. So I'm curious to see if they actually end up fixing that and making it to where the attack speed will actually affect Ravens, because if it does, then you could theoretically get this down to like a 1.5 second cooldown on the passive, and because of all the damage increases, like this actually did some damage on the PTR. Like with non-perfect gear, like Raven's passive was hitting for $1 million a Raven, or $1 million. What the hell am I even saying? A million damage, a million damage, a million damage a Raven, and that was with imperfect gear. And I didn't have Wild Heart Hunger on. I didn't have a good amulet. Like, there could be some potential here to, like, actually juicing this up will make your single target crazy when you combine it with the wolves and stuff, right? But again, it also depends on how attack speed works, because if it's a 2-bucket system where you can just stack tons and tons of attack speed, I mean, having just loads of attack speed on 6 wolves could potentially be better. But yeah. So anyways, let's keep on going. So on the chest piece, max life, armor, resist all. We don't really need ranks into any defensive skill anymore, so I just did resist all because it makes it easier to shore up your resistances. You can go resist all here, and then you can run resist all here, and it'll actually end up helping you out a lot and getting to your cap easier. Then on the gloves, attack speed, willpower, critical strike chance. You could actually argue to replace the willpower with lucky hit chance if you wanted here, just because we actually do care about pack leader a lot again, because we do want to reset Ravens and Poison Creeper, and these are primarily going to be the way you cast these, because even if you stack a bunch of cooldown companion cooldown reduction, Poison Creeper and Ravens, the main way you're going to cast it is still going to be from pack leader, because reducing Poison Creeper it's pretty difficult to get that down to like a 5-second cooldown. And within a 5-second window, you could reset it with Pack Leader using Claw. So yeah, so I'm not even certain that it makes sense to really focus a whole lot on like companion, on the general companion specific one. I think running the Wolf cooldown reduction is better because you can actually get it down to 2.75 seconds, which is literally like the time it takes them to do the animation. So you're pretty much just spamming it on cooldown at that point. So yeah. Yeah, Aspect of the Wild Rage on this, and then Aspect of Might on the chest piece. So next up we have Storm's Companion. Still going to go this, plus 13 ranks to Wolves and damage reduction. You can't really beat that right now. It's just too good. And then with the potential of it turning into a Storm skill, so you can get access to Thunderstruck and stuff, it's just really solid. Wild Heart Hunger, this is something that you would use specifically if you're pushing. Otherwise, I would just use regular boots like Metamorphosis or something. This is something you use if you don't care about movement speed all that much. But again, it has 20% damage reduction on it, which is, again, really, really good. Very, very good. It still has movement speed. You don't really use the overpower damage, but at the same time, it also gives you a 30% damage buff, and we're already running Quick Shift. So it's just another flat 30% damage that's going to affect all of your skills again, right? So moving right along. And then you want the damage reduction. You want to try to get a greater affix than all 3 of your rolls on the damage reduction on this. Unless you want movement speed, I guess you could do that, but I think the damage reduction is better because I really feel like you don't need all this damage whenever you're speed farming. You shouldn't like have with the Shepherd's buff and stuff. You should just be able to run movement speed boots and like Metamorphosis or something, or Rushing Wilds, right? Moving right along to the weapon, so critical strike damage, willpower, max life, companion damage. We are going to be going companion damage. I don't think I've pointed this out yet because you do lose a little bit of additive wolf damage, but you're gaining damage to ravens and poison creepers. So I think it's worth it. If you're doing a wolf-centric build, you could just put it all on wolves if you didn't want to put ravens. Like keep in mind, there is always the option to just try to put your points in other places, but yeah, but companion damage I think is pretty good right now. Elemental Surge, because there's literally nothing else to go. Not only that, Ravens has a 45% lucky hit. Wolves has a 50% lucky hit chance. I mean, so your skills, like, and I'm not certain that the passive is actually procs Elemental Surge, but the actual skill does, as well as Claws, a 50% lucky hit chance. So the skill casts are pretty decent. Yeah, and then 260% damage on Wolves there. So it's going to be interesting, too, to see, like, Companion Druid moving forward, because they're going to eventually make, like, a Ravens legendary. They're eventually going to make, like, a Poison Creeper legendary. So I think Companion Druid is ultimately going to become, you run all of this stuff right here, you're going to run all of this no matter what, right? Like, all of these things right here are going to be ran in every single Companion build. The question is going to be, what is your focus skill, right? Is it going to be Wolves? Is it going to be Poison Creeper, right? Because once they actually make a legendary for Poison Creeper and Ravens that says, like, increase Ravens damage by 300%, and it does cool extra effect, right? That's going to be what goes onto your weapon, right? So, or if it's like, a unique thing or yada yada, that kind of thing. But hopefully we'll see what they come up with. Hopefully they come up with something cool. But I think that's fine. It'll be all right. I mean, it does kind of take away any kind of utility slots we had, but that's fine. So moving on to the amulet, the hardest thing ever in this world to find, because this ideally is what a perfect amulet looks like. Quick Shift, Call the Wild, Envenom. Damage on damage on damage. Somebody getting lucky on an amulet is literally going to be the difference between tiers, which kind of blows. I'm going to keep it real with you on that one. That actually does kind of suck. That's the one thing about Companion Druid I'm not liking right now, is how much the amulet affects your damage. So for every Call the Wild rank, you get 12% damage. So, 12 times 5 is like 70. So let's see here. So just if we come up here and we look at this, with a maxed out amulet, you get 120% bonus damage. If you just have 2 ranks, it's like 2 or 3 ranks, it goes up to like 60% damage, but it's just crazy. Like that's just wild to me, right? So that's 120% damage there. Envenom, 4 ranks of that's another 40% crit damage, and with the way this works, it actually does increase your critical strike damage multiplier. That's like the working theory, so that's, again, another crazy one. And then quick shift, every single rank is 8%. So if you're getting 4 ranks, 4 times 8, you're getting like another 30% damage. Like, that's just, again, that's just nuts. Like, the amount of sheer damage you can get off of an amulet for Zoo Druid is absolutely nuts, but it's going to be so hard to find that amulet and to get that amulet. Now, we are going companion damage and companion cooldown reduction, namely because you can get 47% on your ring, you can get 47% on wolves. If you don't necessarily need to go companion cooldown reduction you can't really go this unless you have high wolf cooldown reduction rolls. But in a perfect world where you have this and this, right, because you also have cooldown here and you have the companion cooldown, you should still be at the 2.75 second cooldown for your wolves, which is ideally what you're going for, is to get that as low as possible. Because if you were to swap out the wolf CDRs with like companion CDR, I don't believe you'd be down at the 2.75, and you really wouldn't take your Ravens and Poison Creeper down all that much. You might be able to shave off like half of their cooldown, like 15 down to 8, and like 20 down to like 8 to 10, which it's not enough to be relevant, because I promise you'll reset pack leader like within 10 seconds on the average. So, yeah. But on the rings, I guess on the amulet, Shepherd's aspect, so companion skills deal 15% damage per companion you have. So, yeah, absolutely ballin' aspect. Coming down here, we're going to go crit chance, attack speed, max life, companion damage, wolf CDR, and then Moonrage aspect. So kills have 5% chance to summon a wolf companion. So this is also an interesting choice you can make here too, is that technically this gives you the most damage to your wolves, right? But if you swap aspect of the alpha for Shepherd's aspect, whenever you have 6 wolves out, you actually are only losing 5% damage on your wolves, and you're gaining like 40% damage on your ravens. I know that sounds weird, but it's because whenever you do 1.5 times on this, it comes out to 195, right? When you do, double on this, it comes out to 20. Pretty much because of how the ranges are, it's really weird. It's like a weird math equation, but because of how the damage ranges are, by swapping these, you really don't lose that much. You really don't, right? However, it is less damage when you don't have the wolf companions out. But once you have all 6 wolf companions out, it's only a 5% damage loss to put aspect of the alpha onto your shepherds. So depending on what you're looking for, if you want more damage on Poison Creeper, more damage on Ravens, it could be worth it to put Shepherds on your weapon. Okay? Yeah. So anyways, but that's kind of the idea here. But you're going to run Moonrage Ring regardless in any companion build you run, because 3 additional wolves with Shepherd's Necklace is going to be way too strong to not run. And then on the next one, we have Ring of the Stampede, gain 1 additional companion. Again, crazy synergy with Shepherds, 30% more damage, So we're going to go Lucky Hit, a chance to make enemies vulnerable. This is going to be the primary way that we make enemies vulnerable, so keep that in mind. It's going to be the easiest way to do it, unless you want to run exploit into your glyphs, which is totally fine to do if you want to do that. But it's not really something I wanted to do. I found that this Lucky Hit effect right here was actually plenty to make things vulnerable, and vulnerable gives you a 20% damage buff, so it's pretty worth running, I think, over the other stuff. So yeah, but attack speed, crit chance. We're really trying to maximize crit chance here because we really need to play for pack leaders, so we want as many of our attacks to be crits as possible, right? All right. Moving on to the skill tree. So we are opting to go Claw, Enhanced Claw, and Wild Claw, so it has a 15% chance to attack twice. And a big reason for this is so we can go Pulverize. Pulverize is going to give us 20% damage reduction. Now, if you're speed farming, you can go Maul and Shred, but if you're pushing, I think Pulverize Claw is way better because you get 20% damage reduction. And because we don't run Debilitating Roar, I think it makes it even more necessary now to run Pulverize than what it was last season. So yeah, that's the reason behind that. By running a core skill, we get access to Ancestral Guidance, which is a 30% damage buff for everything again, which is pretty nice. Then we're going to go Predatory Instinct, Iron Fur. Now when it comes to the difference between... So I do have like kind of like a farming in general use thing, and that's one of the main changes is we take out points from Nature's Reach, we put it into this just so we have more movement speed, stuff like that. If you're speed farming, doing that is totally fine, because remember, you don't need all this damage whenever you're speed farming, so you can adjust the build and lose a bunch of damage in a bunch of places and you'll be fine to go farm stuff still. Alright, so moving right along. So Bloodhowl, Enhanced Bloodhowl, Preserving Bloodhowl, and the reason for Bloodhowl again is because we can go Bloodhowl cooldown here, we can go Bloodhowl cooldown here, plus the cooldown on the helmet. It'll reduce this cooldown down to like 8 or 9 seconds, and then from there we can use its innate cooldown reduction to make sure we have Vigilance up majority of the time. So that means really we have to kill like 2 or 3 things to keep 100% uptime on Vigilance, and that's all we're going for here. That's the idea, is we want to try to keep that 21% damage reduction up the whole time. We have coming down here, maxing out all of these. Now, if you have low crit chance, you can do this, but technically doing this is better for damage, because you look here, 227% damage, you take it off, 396%, put it on, and it goes up to 793%. It's not that it's actually increasing the damage, it's that damage is going to be on there for longer. So yeah, like this is just really solid. But if you're not actually putting points into this and you're just focusing on the wolves, you could put this in Brutal Poison Creeper and you'll get 20% more crit, which we have 60% right here, but that would bring it all the way up to 80%. And the more crits is good because of Pack Leader. That's why I have, crit focused on both of these and these. Oh, I guess I don't have them focused on these, but I have a greater affix on crit there, as you really want to make sure you're maximizing your crit. Call of the Wild, obviously. Ravens, we have to go Brutal Ravens because it gives 40% increased passive damage and 2 additional Ravens. But in another world, if they were to change it to where you still get the 2 additional Ravens from Ferocious Ravens, that would be interesting to run this if we were doing like a wolf focus build or something like that, just to get vulnerable. Easy access to vulnerable. So moving right along, Neurotoxin and Venom. I don't really see a reason to run. I don't really see a reason to run Toxic Claws if we run Poison Creeper, but if you wanted to like take a point out of something and put it into that, I mean, that would be fine. The only thing I could think of is like taking it out of this and putting it here. But you should have things poisoned all the time because your wolves are applying rabies. You also have Poison Creeper resets. So I don't see a huge benefit in putting a point here when you could put a point into something like this, which is going to give you make it easier for you to stay fortified because we're quick shifting all the time. Yeah, so Envenom, coming down here, we have Quick Shift, Natural Fortitude, Heightened Senses. So when shape shifting into an animal form, Werebear grants 9% damage reduction, and Werewolf grants 6% movement speed. So that's 18% damage reduction we're getting from Heightened Senses. Keep in mind they actually buffed Heightened Senses. They buff Vigilance, so we're actually getting more damage reduction than what we were getting before, which is probably a big part of the reason why it's easier to survive with that Debilitating Roar. And they are nerfing Debilitating Roar down to 40%, so it's not even going to be as good, right? Like, I was running it as like this must-have thing last season, but now it's like kind of whatever because they've reduced it so much and they increased these. I really don't think it's as big of a deal to run it now. So, anyways... but yeah, so Quick Shift, 56% damage increase to everything. Natural Fortitude, so we can keep our Fortify up. Heightened Senses, so we can have an 18% damage reduction buff and a 12% move speed buff. And then Bestial Rampage for the 100% damage increase from the Wild Rage Gloves, and then a 60% increase to attack speed for our Wolves from the Wild Rage Gloves. So that's going to be that. When we go into the Paragon, so the Paragon's looking pretty similar. Not really a reason to change a whole lot about it. What the heck did I do here? Oh yeah, that's right. I was messing around, wasn't I? I was messing around with some stuff. So I'm still, like, it's not going to change too much, but it really is going to depend on the whole Thunderstruck thing and, how that plays out. Because if you can put Thunderstruck on your wolves, that's a 40% damage increase. It's something that you kind of want. But yeah, so going through here, we're going to want this. There we go. Yeah, what the heck? Oh, there we go. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, but anyway, so you're gonna want Keeper. That's gonna mean things. You and your companions deal 10% increased non-physical damage. So this only is gonna impact your wolves once you get Storm's Companion because it makes them deal lightning damage. And then it also is gonna impact your Poison Creeper. It also gives you a really nice amount of all resist. It's the main reason why. That's the main reason why I'm running it there. Coming up here, I go into Inner Beast because I like it. You can get some max life. I like that you can get a lot of damage right here on top of being able to go into Wilds, which is going to be the first one. This is pretty nice because then you can also branch out and go to the right, go to the left. Another thing you can do is you can flip it, and then you can go Wilds and then go to the right, go to the left, and you can pick up some attack speed here if you want to go that route as well. Wilds is pretty important, gives you 130% multiplicative bonus to your passive damage, so it's like the first rune that you want to get if you're leveling Companion Druid. This is 100% like just goated as the first one you want to get. So then we have Spirit, 12% damage amp, a bunch of critical strike damage for our wolves. We also like to go down into here because we really want the damage reduction from poisoned enemies is really, really nice. It also gives you a lot of poison resistance. This really helps with your poison resistance. So, yeah. And then Heightened Malice gives us 45% increased damage while 3 or more poisoned enemies are nearby. I really wish they would buff this to where it's easier to keep it up on a single target. Because I feel like to be honest with you, I think other classes' Paragon boards are way better than Druid Paragon boards. But yeah, so after spending 75 Spirit, you deal 30% increased damage. And that's kind of why is like this. Like if you compare Ancestral Guidance and Heightened Malice to like some of the rogue ones, it's just like, what? Same thing with like Barbarian. It's like we have like these conditional effects that make it to where like we are gonna not have this up for the majority of the time, whereas other classes just get their legendary nodes like all the time, just all the time. So yeah, but who knows, maybe they'll change that in the future. So then we come up here, Territorial, 10% damage reduction from close enemies, main reason we run it. Then we pick up some all resistance, some damage taken over time reduction, which is nice. And then we go over here. For Bane, this is going to give us a 15% chance to deal double the amount of poison damage over the duration. This is actually ran for Poison Creeper. They buffed it a little bit, so I like it. It just kind of randomly is like, oh, hey, you're going to deal double the amount of damage, but not 100% certain, like, if this is going to be, like, 100% needed. It might honestly just be better to run Tracker in that slot, but yeah. That's something I'm thinking about moving forward, as I am thinking about swapping that out for Tracker and Zoo Druid, since we are wanting to run some other things that are going to help out our other companion skills. And I'm also gonna see if maybe I should drop this and just try to pick up another glyph slot with the extra stuff here. But I don't know. We'll see if that's possible. But yeah, so that's what the Paragon board's looking like right now. Gonna alter that a little bit more, and I'm hoping that they fix the whole storm thing, because once I actually know 100% what's going on with that, it's gonna make it way easier to make the Paragon board. So yeah, but anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for this. Just wanted to show you guys this updated build that I'm working on here. Once Season 5 comes out, it'll be way easier to get much more definitive stuff. But yeah, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.